our hero Dan Woong conquers the world of martial arts, also known as Jung-Hoo, and earns the title of Fist King because he uses his fist alone during fights. Unrivaled by everyone, one day he is ambushed by a bunch of goons from the demonic faction. He kills many of them. He gently takes Jaeun's hand off Jinon's shoulder, while commenting that both brothers should be happy to see each other after such a long time. But to his shock, Jeon slaps Han for touching him without permission. Jaeun doesn't like his poor behavior toward him. Besides, he claims full responsibility for the incident, which prompts a protest from Hayeon. Yet Jinon looks firmly at everyone and declares that despite his earlier claim that the Yunha merchant group belongs to him, it also belongs to his father, to the squad that welcomed him this morning, and to every employee who works there. Therefore, he will not allow anyone to toy with his merchant group. With that, he orders Mongho prepares for the worst, but before anyone reaches him, Jinon steps in to defend him. Jinon remarks how these vultures didn't dare approach Ma Youngho when he was strong, yet now they're ready to devour him while he's vulnerable. He orders them to come from Youngho only when he's strong enough to fight back. Then he instructs the Yuk brothers to collect every valuable item. As they move to carry out his orders, Myeonho continues cursing at everyone and everything, Jinon included. When they arrive in front of his home, the Yuk thank him for saving their former master. The gratitude catches him off guard for a moment. Looking at the twins, he recalls the rumors that some say they were sold to Mungho as slaves, others that they followed him out of fear. Yet, seeing their genuine concern for Mungho, Jinon smiles softly to himself, realizing that understanding true human nature is far more complex than it seems. Meanwhile, from behind a pillar, someone watches carefully, making sure that Jinon is truly there. Now, in the present, things fall back into rhythm, but John is not happy with the progress. Door to his chamber, they find him inside with the Yuk brothers. Seeing his muscular build, they quickly shut. Meanwhile, Jinon is already thinking about the little deity sect, which is something Mark has already informed him about. After a brief moment of thought, he asks Sima where the sect members are now. Sima replies that they're at their base. Jinon then tells him to come inside and hands him a robe to put on. His loyal friend complies while asking again about their exact location. Jinon answers that they're at the guard squad's warehouse. When Sema realizes that he plans to head straight to the little deity sect's base, he freaks out. He reminds Jinon that it's just the two of them, while the entire sect will be there, and they don't even have a proper plan. While taking out his weapon, Jinon clarifies to his friend that this is the plan. Then, pressing the knife lightly against Sema's throat, he orders him to lead the way. His poor friend has no choice but to guide him to the little deity sect's base, where dozens of guards stand watch over the main gate. Finally, at the entrance, Sema reminds him that he's useless in a fight. He calmly tells his friend to leave as he's going inside alone. Sema is a little disappointed by the dismissal and warns him again about the danger of charging into a place with hundreds of guards. But Jinon simply slams the door open and declares that he's going to do exactly what he used to do in his past life. As Dan Woong, our boy's life rule is simple: never back down from a fight. Not when he's just an orphan struggling with the world of Jong-Hoo. And not even during his reign as the Fist King. Even now, he refuses to step aside, especially when it comes to his love for battle. The moment everyone notices the door swing open, they turn toward him. But our dude strolls in without a trace of fear and asks for their leader. One guard, furious at the intruder's audacity, steps forward to beat him. But Gino moves faster while grabbing the man by the neck and knocking him down in one swift motion. The guards warn him that he's standing in their den. Before the fight escalates, the sect leader himself appears, drawn by the commotion, and demands to know his identity. Gino calmly claims to be an assassin. The sect leader is amused, as he's never in his life seen an assassin walk in so brazenly. Then his eyes fall on Gino's bruised fist, and a memory stirs about the conversation he had with a member of the Yuong clan. In an instant, he realizes exactly who stands before him. Gino. Our dude hotly replies that he might be Gino. This brightens the sect leader's face, as he certainly wasn't expecting someone like him to barge into his territory. But it makes things far easier. He fully intends to take advantage of this opportunity. Without hesitation, he orders his guards to seize him. Meanwhile, our guy recalls the last time he fought multiple opponents in his past life. As the battle begins, he's aware that his current body isn't at the same peak strength as before. But that doesn't mean he can't enjoy the fight. With each strike, he knocks down guards left and right, punching and flooring them in rapid succession. Some guards instinctively back away, shaken by the monstrous strength he displays while fighting so many opponents barehanded. Then suddenly, he freezes for a moment as an arrow slices across his cheek from behind. Turning with a smirk, he cheekily accuses the sect leader of showing off his flashy weapon. The sect leader admits the sword is indeed expensive, and one he rarely uses. But for someone like this powerful intruder, he's willing to make an exception. Then at the sect master's order, the guards at Ginon's feet pin him in place, while dozens more perch on the roof, with loaded bow guns aimed at him. Our boy thinks with bitter irony, so the sect master doesn't even have the honor to fall alongside his own men. But suddenly, he hears Sema's voice, calling out to him, followed by a knife sailing through the air. Ginon catches it mid-flight, and in one smooth motion, deflects all the incoming arrows. The force of the deflection also loosens the guard's grip on him. The sect leader stares in disbelief at what he's just witnessed. Our boy gives his loyal friend a thumbs up, then turns back to the fight. He hurls the blade toward the sect leader, the edge grazing past the man's neck. In a dark tone, he declares that the sect leader is the only exception for whom he's willing to use a blade instead of his fist. Now desperate, the sect leader orders his subordinates to kill him. But before he can react, our boy is already upon him, fists ready. The cowardly leader doesn't hesitate to use his own lover as a human shield. In a swift, controlled strike, Ginon punches the man while simultaneously pulling the woman to safety. He tells her to leave, then turns his gaze back to the sect leader, now cowering like a cornered animal. Just like every other opponent Ginon has faced, this man realizes he can't possibly be the heir of the Yuna merchant group. Only a professional martial artist could fight like this. To save his life, the sect leader offers Ginon a generous sum of money before the man can even finish his sentence. Our boy slams a fist into him, knocking him to the ground. With cold finality, Ginon declares that he doesn't need money from someone who values it more than human life. After beating him thoroughly, he ends the man's life. his expression twisted in disgust at the sight of this scum's blood. With the matter settled, Jinon leaves alongside his friend and the sect leader's lover. Sima offers to escort the woman, and Jinon agrees. The two part ways. As they walk, the woman quickly recognizes Sima. Flustered, he unmasks him while she tells him that she's seen him many times at the Sweet Sen house. She thanks him sincerely and promises to treat him to high-quality wine the next time he visits. He brushes off the offer, declaring that he won't be going to any betrothal next time. She comments softly on his transformation, glancing at his friend. He calmly says that he's willing to embrace change, inspired by Jinon's own transformation, while Jinon, for his part, is already thinking about breakfast. After freshening up in his chamber, Jinon settles in for breakfast with the Duke brothers. He encourages them to eat as much as they like. Delighted by his generosity, they ask if they can eat 7 times a day, to which he casually agrees without a second thought. Then they notice the injury on his face and ask about what happened last night. The question pulls him back to the memory of the ambush, which was an event that genuinely shook him. It's not the sort of thing that would have rattled him in his past life, but now it makes him realize that he must go beyond his usual training. He needs to keep pushing himself, both to prepare for revenge against the demonic faction and to keep strengthening the Una merchant group. At that moment, he's informed about receiving a parcel. Opening it, he finds a letter from Guang in the box. The letter jokingly praises him for improving, while pointing out that he only had 1 drink last night. In truth, Guang had gone to deliver something on his father's request, but forgot about it, so now he's sending it over instead. He ends the letter by bidding Jinon farewell and reminding him to get stronger for the sake of their scoundrel group. When Jinon opens the box, he finds several century-old tuber fleece flower roots. He is amazed to realize that these herbs might be nearly 5 centuries old. This means they can help him raise his lightning 10-phase art to the 5th phase. Then he checks another pouch with a box inside. Inside he finds a letter from the Taiho merchant group, addressed to his father. As a token of friendship, he concludes that his father must have used his connections to ask the Taiho merchant group, which is one of the richest in the Central Plains, to deliver these precious items. When he opens the box, his eyes widen at the sight of azurite essence, which is a treasure trove for martial artists. It is second only to the legendary natural wineberry, the moonflower, and the 10,000-year snow gins. This elixir is so rare that martial artists would kill, for as he inhales its scent, he is certain it is truly azurite essence, having tasted a few drops in his past life. What he can't understand is how his father managed to get his hands on it. Then, without hesitation, he tosses each tuber fleece flower roots to each of his Yuck brothers, instructing them to guard his room. While he focuses on circulating his energy, he also orders them to eat the roots. Once he emerges from his room, one of the Yuck brothers eyes the item in his hand with curiosity. Jinon explains that it's something that will make them stronger, but warns them not to lose it because of his value. One of them is astonished to hear this, then casually reveals that his father brought plenty of similar elixirs just for him. Jinon sighs, finally understanding that it all comes down to money. After consuming the rudi, Jinon sits cross-legged in his room, meditating and gathering energy for the next 2 hours. The taste is bitter, but he thinks that's what makes it so much like martial arts itself. Painful yet rewarding. Soon he feels heat surging into his core from the elixir, and he's relieved that he has been training the vessel of this new body. But suddenly, a burning pain erupts through every part of him. He tries to suppress it, but it grows more and more unbearable. Gritting his teeth, he decides to tackle it head-on, channeling his energy to subdue it. After several agonizing seconds, he finally breathes a sigh of relief as the pain fades and his core begins to cool down. Then he uses his lightning art, a triumphant smile on his face, as he realizes he has reached the 5th phase. Looking at his body, he notices that he reeks of alcohol, thanks to his body's old owner's alcoholism. With a smile, he bids the old Jinnen goodbye. Now it's time to attempt the azurite essence, which is not an easy process. Most bodies scatter like a sand cup in the furnace under its effect, but he knows he has to endure it. In the next moment, he senses the spirit energy of the essence surrounding him, as if testing him. At first, he decides to suppress his greed for power, but then he changes his mind and pushes against the energy, determined to surpass it and become insanely strong. 7 days pass while he remains confined in his room, working with the energy. His nerdy younger brother grows worried about him. He is stopped by Yak brother, who reminds him that their master strictly forbids anyone from entering the room. Before the nerdy brother can say anything, a large explosion erupts from his room, and he stands there like a ghost, eyes blazing with purple lightning. The Yuk brothers are stunned by the sight, but Huan, the smartest among them, immediately recognizes it as the infamous energy deviation by the stench in the air. They rush to him as he collapses on the floor. The Yuk brothers try desperately to wake him up. Huan, worried and scared, approaches his eldest brother, who raises his head with the same intense expression. Jinon gets up and looks at his brother. His expression makes him appear like a revengeful ghost. He starts walking ahead. When his middle brother asks where he is going, he replies that he needs to cool off a bit and warns them not to follow him, leaving a very baffled Huayan questioning his statement. He is jumping from building to building at full speed, trying to get away not only from his home, but also from his street. The power surging inside him, thanks to the azurite essence he consumes, makes him nearly uncontrollable. Jinon's body is not strong enough to withstand the essence's power, which becomes uncontainable for the Fist King. So he runs away from the inhabited areas to protect the people from himself. After a while, he is far away and stops in a deserted place. The power is still uncontrollable. Remembering the stab he endured in his past life, he decides to release the energy from his body. He releases the energy in a powerful burst, visible from far away as it shoots from the ground. Rain pours over him as he stands there, satisfied with his energy. Checking the level of his white lightning 10-phase art, he grins, realizing that he has reached the 8th phase because of this energy. When he gets back to the town, his clothes are torn from the energy he released. Noticing the stares of the people around him, he buys some clothes. When he asks the shopkeeper about the price, the man refuses to take money. Recognizing him as the one who defeated the rowdy groups like the Uang clan and the Little Deity sect, scaring off the other thugs, he points to his kids, saying they come here after this. So it's a token of gratitude from him. The kids also offer him an umbrella, and with a smile, he finally accepts their hymn. Gratitude. Outside, he looks at the peaceful faces of the people around him and realizes the shopkeeper was right. He never truly understood the impact his fight had on others. But remembering the shopkeeper's words and the smiles of the people, he feels a strange feeling that he likes. Suddenly, the peace is broken by loud shouting. He looks ahead and sees some people chasing Mongo. His chameleon friend immediately greets him with a smile. Looking at his enemy, he dryly comments on his busy life. Meanwhile, at the palace of Moyong-chan, the Emperor Assembly holds a meeting. The conversation is led by the Dio clan leader, Du Mayong, who praises Moyong-bin for his great work in gathering all the leaders of the Emperor Assembly groups. Moyong-bin brushes off the gratitude and approaches the leader of the Uang clan, Wang Sayang, regarding the death of Uang-hu at the hands of our hero. The Wang patriarch is quite embarrassed to hear it, especially when Moyong-bin mentions that Uang-hu was a pro-martial artist who often got into trouble with the Yinha merchant group, now the head of the Emperor Assembly and the leader of the Nam Gong clan. Lafat Uhu had also held the title of one of the strongest martial artists, yet they find it ridiculous that someone like him was defeated by a mere member of a merchant group. The leader of the Uang clan tries to reason that Uang-hu had already been banished from the clan. Reaper Alliance is fired up while thinking that since he is only one man, they might be able to kill him anyway. Then, Mong-ho looking at him wonders aloud that if the Red Reaper is dead, they might not need to pay tribute anymore. The man beside him comments that Jinon might start demanding tribute money instead. But Mongyo immediately denies it, defending his childhood friend. He knows that his friend already has enough money to never stoop to such means. Then he starts counting his umbrella swings once again, which prompts a passerby to comment on his antics, calling him crazy. With each strike, swings his umbrella. He recalls the time when Jinon asked him whether he truly wanted to be a rat or a poisonous fox, like he claimed to be. He knows that every person has a spark in their heart to do something, and it is his own responsibility to nurture that spark. He understands that his friend wants to be strong to the extent that it borders on madness. But suddenly, he stops looking at his friend fighting the Crimson Reaper goons and declares that he is the poisonous fox, not a cowardly rat. After dealing with the Crimson Reaper Alliance, Jinai doesn't even wash the blood from his clothes when his concerned nerdy brother shows up at his door. He makes an excuse that he was out for a drink. His middle brother has come for some advice on some matter, but the concerned one wants answers about the blood. Our boy consoles him while explaining that it's not his, which his brother has already guessed. Then Hwaeon finally gets to the point that he came here because he wants to send the merchant groups something as a token of their gratitude for providing such precious elixirs. First, he wants to send something to Taiho Merchant Group, but wants to know how much the medicine they send is worth. At that, Jinon remembers that the said group is the one who sent the azurite essence, and answers that the value is so high that someone like him cannot even measure its worth. His brother is baffled, unable to comprehend what could possibly be given for something so valuable. Jinon believes that sending goods or money is not a good idea. To his brother's surprise, he proposes forming a merchant alliance instead. He further explains that besides big names like Taiho, there are also smaller groups like the West escort establishment, that don't have any official form of protection. An alliance like this would be a good way to repay them by offering protection. Huan is hesitant, feeling it seems bigger than what they can handle. Jinon advises him to start small. Just include Taiho Merchant Group and the Westwind Escort Establishment for now as a way of repayment. The nerdy brother, already busy planning, wants to know the rules and membership fees. Jinon tells him not to charge any fees for now and to keep the rules simple. His brother wants to know about the purpose of the alliance. At that, he remembers the words of the escort establishment representative who had asked for his protection after he drove out 2 gangster organizations from that town. So he states that their purpose is to protect the lives of merchants. Besides, he wants to form a proper line of communication so they can reach him in dire situations. His brother points out that conditions may arise, which even big groups like Cho Merchant Group cannot handle. For example, if someone from the underworld of Zhongyu harasses them, what kind of action would he take? He states firmly that he will personally handle such matters, which makes his brother hesitant. But he explains that since the merchants gave him medicine that made him stronger, he can do this much for them in return. Then comes the issue of naming the alliance. Huyan suggests calling it the Great Merchant Alliance, but he refuses, not wanting it to sound like the Crimson Reaper Alliance, and corrects it to the Great Merchant Association. At that point, Hua also reminds him that ever since his scoundrel brother came back, his workload has increased. He apologizes, but Huan brushes it off with a smile, saying it's better for merchants to keep themselves busy. At that moment, one of their subordinates comes shouting that a new problem has arisen. When asked, he reveals in a panic that Lord Ouyang and his disciples have personally come. Meanwhile, the said group is sitting in the main hall of the merchant group. Lord Ouyang is still furious about the humiliation he received during the Rulers' Association meeting. So, he emphasizes to his disciples that each of them must take turns fighting Jinon, because he wants to give him a painful death. Besides, their family name cannot be restored with just one victory. All of them comply immediately. Then, Shin-sok asks whether his 2 companions are going to use weapons. Since he is going with a bare-handed fight, Wu Yang-myung agrees to use his fists as well. But Wu is not as confident and intends to use his sword. His brother mocks him for this, but Wu reasons that Ginan is someone who has defeated someone like Wang Hu, who had plenty of experience in Jianghu. Ma Yang, however, scoffs at that, believing Wang Hu was not strong enough. Finally, he arrogantly orders the servants to summon Jinon to come personally, but instead, the Yuk brothers arrive and inform them that they are to come to the annex by the invitation of their master. After a while, the guests stand in front of our boy, who is already waiting for them. He welcomes them, and all 3 martial artists introduce themselves. He is, however, surprised by the presence of Lord Ouyang, who apologizes for coming unannounced, but admits he couldn't resist coming to witness his strength. Jinon understands they are here for a duel and asks about the specific format. Lord Yuan suggests that he fight all of his disciples since they want to learn from him, while stating the rules. Whoever loses consciousness, becomes immovable, or falls from the ring will be declared the loser. Jinon accepts the simple rules and asks to begin the match. The first is Mayong. Lord Yu is quite cocky about his son's victory. Meanwhile, Mayong senses that it doesn't feel like he is facing just a merchant's son, but rather a seasoned Jianghu warrior, which makes him realize that Gin's victory over Uanghu must have been genuine. Jinan asks about his weapon, but before Mayong can even finish his haughty reply, he receives a hard punch from Jinyon that sends him crashing against the far wall. The cup in Lord Yuan's hand crushes from the shock. Jinan calmly reminds him that he can draw a sword if given the chance, then challenges the next opponent to step forward. Then Woon decides to go next and asks Shin to take care of his brother, which Shin agrees to. Once he stands in front of our boy, Wu is ready to unleash all his power and techniques, and Jinon wants him to do so in order to have a good match. With that, the match begins. Without wasting any time, Woon draws his sword. With a swift motion, he rushes toward our dude, trying to strike him, but Jinon easily dodges. At the same time, he notices that Wu is indeed a fine swordsman. However, Jinon is sharper as he begins making his moves. After carefully observing the pattern of Woon's swordsmanship while dodging, that is why he can now evade every strike with just his bare hands. Now, it's time for Jinyon to go on the offensive. He starts with the 5th phase of his lightning art and lowers his energy level to the 3rd phase. Woon braces himself, trying to block the attack with a sword swing. In the next moment, Jinon sends a lightning roar attack straight at him, knocking his opponent down with a single strike. Shin doesn't believe it. Mayang suggests that they should stop the duel, because if all 3 of them are defeated, it will bring even more shame. However, Shin is not willing to back away from the opportunity to fight someone who uses only bare fists, since he himself has trained in palm strike techniques. He requests a spar with our boy. Seeing his fists, Jinon becomes genuinely excited to fight someone with real skill. With that, both fistmasters clash. The clash continues for a while with Shin striking and Jinon dodging. But Shin grows annoyed that Jinon has only been defending until now. Determined, he decides to unleash his ultimate attack and see how Jinon will block it. He unleashes his whirlwind wheel crushing palm strike, creating a small tornado surging toward Jinon, who grins at the impressive move. However, he remarks that it is too big. Calmly, he grabs Shin's foot firmly, making him shout in pain, and then throws him hard onto the ground, commenting that he got a good duel. Mayang is sulking because they don't gain anything good from this defeat. Seeing the displeased face of Lord Uang, Jinon doesn't understand the reason behind it. Meanwhile, Lord Uang is trembling with anger because he realizes that Jinon is truly undefeated and bringing in another person would be useless. The problem is that the ruler association's pride will be crushed, and he and his clan will also be mocked by this defeat. Deciding on another tactic, he asks Jinon to take a walk to the market. He notices the peaceful environment there and comments that Jinon must have many suppliers from this place. Without wasting more time, he offers Jinon membership in the ruler association. He explains that Jinon doesn't need to enroll his whole merchant group, as he can join as an individual, and his merchant group will still be protected. Jinon is taken aback by the offer, knowing that this association already includes the names of great clans. But he raises the issue that the ruler association is forged from clans who left the Merm Alliance, which was once composed of the 9 great sects. Lord Yuan confirms it while making the excuse that they are just friendly rivals of the Merm Alliance. Jinon thinks about the information he received, that the Uang clan only recently joined the association and now wants to save their reputation after the defeat. Lord Yuan also confirms his suspicion by admitting that his subordinate, Uang Hu, was spreading strange rumors about Jinon, which badly affected the clan reputation, though he himself has nothing against him. That is why he wants Jinyon to join the ruler association to save face. This he believes is his best chance to show his association that someone like Jinon is under him. Jinon asks what will happen if he refuses. Lord Yuan points out that he won't lose anything by joining it, and as a merchant's son, he should understand that. Jinon retorts that he has nothing to do with an ordinary martial arts group when he doesn't lack money. Then he dismisses him, ending the conversation. At that, Uang becomes truly furious and threatens whether Jinon wants his whole group massacred, which momentarily stops our boy. Yu warns him that he has enough power to wipe out the entire merchant group, while sparing Jinon's life and turning him into he asks if Jinon really thinks he is strong enough alone to crush an entire clan, let alone the ruler association. Before he can continue his threat, he receives a strong punch from Jinon, who warns that he will kill him first and then wipe out his whole clan afterward. He even claims he'll send the blame to Wang's eldest son, warning that it's better if Wang doesn't test him. Lord Uang still has the audacity to call his words the most vile he has ever heard, and accuses him of being a man with no shame or restraint. With that, he releases his poison toad broad strike, which is a technique Uang specialists are trained to use against leaders of the 4 great clans. He is confident that even with all his power, Jinon cannot withstand this strike, but he freezes when he realizes that Jinon is emitting lightning strokes that are devouring his poison. In the next moment, Ginan punches him so hard that Uang slams into the wall and collapses to the ground, coughing blood. Ginan comments that Uang is much weaker than he pretends to be. Yuan tells him to kill him now, because no matter the outcome, Jinon will become a public enemy by doing this, and the ruler association will come after him as well. No matter what happens, Uang public enemy insists Jinon will definitely lose. Hearing this, Jinon steps closer to Uang, whispering darkly that he will make him regret those words for the rest of his life. After a while, everyone sees Jinon dragging Lord Uang by his hair. They are shocked by his condition, especially his sons. Mayang protests, but Jinon shuts him up, warning that he will suffer the same punishment as his father. Another son worries about their father's life, but Jinon answers that he is alive for now and orders his subordinates to prepare a carriage. The eldest son of Uang demands to know his reasoning for doing such a thing. Jinon replies that their father had threatened to slaughter his merchant group and frame him as the culprit, which leaves everyone stupefied. Then he announces that he is going to the ruler association to report the matter himself. He asks Uang guards to come with him as witnesses. Before he can continue, Shin points out that the ruler association doesn't have a headquarters. He informs him that meetings are usually held at the homes of the clan heads. In this way, he can go to the Moyong clan estate, which is the closest. With that, he orders his guards and the Yuk brothers to keep an eye on Lord Uang's disciple and sons. Then he turns to his middle brother and orders him to make a report to submit to the Muram Alliance about today's incident. They then head toward the Moyang estate. Meanwhile, in the carriage, Uang is bound by ropes and asks about their destination. Gin answers him Next moment, Uong asks his guard to bring him some water as he is parched. The guard hesitates, unsure whether our boy will permit it, but Jinong, on the other hand, is amazed that the lord of a clan himself is asking for water. Yet he doesn't comply. He realizes this person must be an assassin. With that, he burns him with his lightning. Then, the driver asks about the incident, but Jinong tells him to keep going. He then turns to another guard and asks about his assassin association. He explains that it is called the Gold-Silver Assassin Group, as they are usually categorized by gold or silver rank, and he himself is a silver rank assassin. Jinon then asks Lord Ueng about the cost of hiring such people, but Ueng is reluctant to answer, so our boy threatens to break his body parts, which forces him to comply. He admits that he paid 800 nyang, far more expensive than their usual rate, but our dude points out that it wasn't worth his life because the assassin group leader was supposed to kill him after he will massacre the entire merchant group. Killing assassins, he explains, is the usual way for clans to cover their dirty hands. He adds that this is the typical way clans clean their tracks. In this way, his life is worth no more than 800. And he advises the assassin to train harder to raise the value of his life. Jinon changes his tone, saying that someone who kills people for money should not be called human at all, and he even claps sarcastically for the assassin's life purpose. Then he casually points out that their group of 3 assassins now has 1 injured and 1 dead. After a while, they reach Moyong Estate. Everyone recognizes Lord Yu, and they are curious about both the situation and Ginang's identity. Finally, Moyong Bin, the leader of the Moyong clan, arrives and asks about Uang's condition. Then he turns to Jinon and introduces himself. Ginan also introduces himself, though he doesn't quite understand because the last time he checked, Moyong Chu was the clan leader. Ben asks about the reason behind the Owang clan leader being dragged in by Jinyon, as if he was some criminal. Jinon offers to answer and explains the entire situation. One of Ben's subordinates points out that this is a grave matter, especially since the Muram Alliance will soon get wind of it. But Ben stops him and asks Jinon's purpose in bringing this issue directly to him. He says he doubts Jinon fully understands the danger of the ruler association, so he assumes Jinon has come to reveal the truth in advance. Then our boy asks about his strategy to tackle this problem, as it may ultimately fall on him. Ben thinks the real answer is to eliminate the danger, but someone like Wang Sang's murder can easily escalate into making the entire Uang clan his enemy, while putting him under the surveillance of the Muriam Alliance. At that moment, Uang starts shouting at Bin, claiming that he is the one who caused all this chaos, that his mockery pushed him into doing it. Then he pleads with him for help, promising he will do anything in return. Knocking him down, Bin declares that Uong has no shame left. He then orders his men to arrest the assassins while keeping them alive under watch. Afterward, he politely apologizes for all the mess caused by Uong, assuring that the ruler association will no longer support the clan. Then he invites Jinon to join him for a meal, and Jinon agrees. While the meal is laid in front of both of them, and Jinon eats to his content. Meanwhile, Bin cannot even understand how someone like Jinon, who defeated the UNC clan patriarch, can exist. To test him, He asks what strategy Jinon will adopt to resolve this matter, since no matter what, he cannot kill Ci, but must handle it in a reasonable way. Jinon asks about his plan instead. So, Bin begins outlining his plan to send Sai to the Morm Alliance, which can free them of Siang's deeds and shift the responsibility onto the UN clan. Besides to preserve their standing, the Ruler Association is ready to take the damage, and he is sure that other clan leaders will agree. Jinon likes the plan. Then, he asks whether the former clan leader, Moyong-chu, went through the Golden Basin hand-washing ceremony, which is a kind of retirement ritual. Hearing this, Bin comments that Jinon is slow on the news of the Yunhu world, because his father has been missing for a year. He is taken aback by it. Bin explains that they sent a search party of main branch members, but didn't get any trace of him. At that moment, our guy thinks it is the same time he reincarnated into Jinon's body. It means that along with him, Chu also died. So he questions whether Chu had any hostility with the demonic faction. Ben answers that the demonic faction has been silent for 20 years, and if they were to rise again, he would have noticed it. Besides, he doubts that the demonic faction has any reason to target his father. At that, he remembers his past life, where he also had nothing to do with the faction, but was suddenly ambushed and killed. To assess the situation, he asks how far Bin's father would go if he were ambushed by a number of swordsmen. Ben replies that his father is not someone who can be defeated by mere swordsmen. Our boy then points out, what if those swordsmen had blade-proof bodies? This leaves Ben confused. Now recalling his last incident, when he tried to attack those assassins, he remembers how they survived, even after being struck by his 9th phase lightning energy. He knows that no ordinary man can endure even the 9th phase lightning energy if he strikes with his current body power. He doesn't believe that someone like them can withstand his strength. So he concludes that they must have blade-proof bodies, or something equally impossible. If men with such power, including the sorcerer who once controlled his body, were to join forces, he thinks only someone beyond heaven could face such a force. So he is certain that Ben won't be receiving any trace of his father or the demonic faction, yet he still doesn't understand the reason behind their secrecy or their true motive in doing this. Meanwhile, in a secluded place, a woman known as the Heavenly Demon addresses a man called the Sword Demon and informs him that they have found the Sword King. The Sword Demon then orders his faction to prepare for the hunt for the sword,